I wish it would say AI in progress too out loud because it doesn't tell me on my end, although the little thingy is blinking.
I know I'm surprised Dom isn't here. He never misses one.
I can text him. I know he's not fishing.
I could be ice fishing.
That's
That's true.
true. It's true. That always freaks me out. I couldn't do that. I can. Where's the what's it called? Oh, here's another iPhone. That might be her. Janine, is that you? The mysterious iPhones.
What happens if we don't get enough people? We just have to move the meeting.
Oh, yeah, but I think that's Janine. I'm
Okay.
gonna, Janine, I'm gonna hit, I'll give you a second, but I'll hit the ask to unmute if that helps. Because we can't hear you. I'm gonna hit it. I'm just hoping it shows up prominently on VoiceOver, and I'll rename you while you're figuring that out.
Yep. How's that?
Perfect.
You
All
made it.
right.
Yay. All right, should we get started?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome everybody to the Commission on Disability meeting. Let's start with the pledge. Let's all say it together though. I pledge allegiance to the
To the
flag
flag of the United
States of
of
America,
America
and to
and
the
to the
republic
republic for
for
which
which
it
which it
stands,
stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and justice
justice
for all.
for all.
and then Stephanie, do you mind reading that? What is it called? The preamble?
Let's see, hold on, I'm getting everything together. I apologize.
Oh yeah, no problem.
I have the roll call ready.
Did I
We can do roll
text it
call
to
first
you?
if you want.
Was it in the text messages? I could take a look on that quickly. I have the roll call on the text. Hold on one second. Okay, here we go. All set. Okay. All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. This meeting will be recorded and provided to Sandwich Community TV for future viewing. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Today is February 4th at 5 p.m. This meeting is being held remotely in accordance with state laws and regulations, most recently Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025 and Section 20 of Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. This meeting will be available on demand on the SCTV website. And now we'll begin with a roll call. So we have Meg.
Here.
Kelly.
Here.
Dom, I believe, is absent. Joanne.
Here.
Lisa.
Here.
Julia.
Here.
Shonda. Have her as absent. Janine.
Here.
And myself, Stephanie, here. And Dawn is also not here.
So
Okay.
Dome just showed up,
Oh, good.
Jellison. We're gonna take off old man.
I know.
Um,
What like you, Dom? I was like, I'm surprised he's not here. And what's the first agenda item, Stephanie?
Okay. So first, we have just a moment. Okay. Do we have any correspondence to go over today?
I don't believe so.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So next we have an update from Ian, the ADA coordinator.
Hello, everyone. Ian Reid, Building Commissioner, ADA Coordinator. Just want to go through the agenda. I know that you got some items listed, so I'll probably just go through them one by one as best I can. As I mentioned to Meg, it's been a pretty hectic time with the storm here, so I've reached out to some of these things and I'll try and answer them as best I can. Everybody was busy in the DPW, fire department, police department, but we'll try and provide as much update as we can. So the first item is the snow stored on accessible parking spots at the school building complaint. Unfortunately, that was an official complaint, and as ADA coordinator, I can't speak to it because of a privacy requirements in my position. And that goes the same for item E, the census accessibility complaint. I can't speak to any specific official complaints for privacy reasons.
I can
Well,
speak to them.
You
Yeah,
can,
I'm
but
the one who actually discovered it first, and then Meg went from there. But
Yeah,
just-
so we can talk about them if you can't.
yeah, that's your prerogative. But I'll probably just on that issue. Today I sent out
Refrain
an
from
email
saying
to
anything.
everybody. Sorry, am I?
Do you want to do you have to refrain from saying anything as we talk about it?
Yeah, so what I was going to do is just talk a little bit about maybe it might be helpful to on these issues. So today I sent out an email to everybody with all my contact information. I don't know if everybody's got it yet or whatever, but if anyone hasn't or feel they haven't, they can contact myself or Meg, and I'll provide it to anybody. As I say, anybody can file a complaint, and that's absolutely 100%. There's nothing stopping anyone from filing a complaint. But then it does trigger some requirements on my end as regards investigating it, meeting with the complainant, investigating, going back and reinvestigating. It's quite time consuming, and it is detailed, and it takes up that I have to find. So basically, when the complaint comes in, I got to meet with the complainant. Then I have to go and meet with whatever department was involved or whatever situation was, site visits, things like that. Might be multiple departments, get them on the schedule, and then I come back and meet with the complainant, go back again, maybe out to do the same again, meet with them after I met with the complainant, and then write up a report and a letter. So it is quite tight.
Is there a different way where you would like to address that?
That's just what I was going to go to.
yeah, I was like, should we
That's why I
just?
provided the contact information and as I said, I'm not trying to say anybody can file a complaint. I have no problem with that in any way, shape, or form. But I did provide my email, my personal phone, my cell phone, my work phone. So if you have something that you feel is heading that direction, it might be better. That's your decision. But if you can contact me first, and then maybe we can have the conversation and maybe get it resolved before going that, so I can come to these meetings and have an open debate and talk about them. So that's your prerogative. I don't want to make it sound like I'm telling people not to file complaints in any way, shape, or form. So,
So, yeah, I can, if you're good with that snow topic, I can chime in on it.
you can talk about it, but as I say, I can't speak about it in any way because it's just privacy, and you're aware of it, I'm aware of it. But
Do you want to start, Kelly?
Yeah. So
just do you want me to finish this and then you can have that debate, or do you want me to? Because again, I can't chime in on it, so I can go through the rest of this, and then you can have that conversation.
Well, it's on this part of the agenda.
Okay, sounds good.
I think it'll be
Yeah.
fairly brief.
Okay.
Yeah, so on Saturday, this is Kelly. I went to the Oak Ridge School with my husband and kids because they play basketball, and my husband noticed that the spot closest to the gym was completely, all the snow was dumped there, and you couldn't park in the spot. So I just showed Meg, and then Meg, you want to go from there?
Yeah. So then I reached out to the superintendent with no response. And then I let JJ know, and then I went and took a picture of every single accessible spot on the school property. The last place that I went to was the high school, which in the pictures that you can see, there's like snow almost as high as the cars on top of the two accessible spots. That was my biggest complaint. One of the things I learned upon doing this is that my understanding in the community access training, monitor training that I got, that a lot of those spots are not striped right. They don't have signage. Um, I've heard complaints that and you can speak to this, Kelly, they're not in a great spot. And
Yeah, I've seen
so,
some people in wheelchairs like drive on the lawn at Oak Ridge and park their car like right up against the building. And I don't know if that's because they need a spot there or they're just trying to work around it. But I do think it's quite a distance. I mean, I'm able to walk, so it's not a problem for me. But I think if you had low, walking functioning, that's a long walk to the gym.
for sure. So I did take a picture of every spot, and when I spoke with the chief and Exaros, Rep. Exaros had asked if we knew that the spots were even right. I didn't have the time to go do every single spot. So as this came up, I felt it an opportunity to check that while I was checking the snow. So the official report was given to Ian because he can make those changes happen. Um, so he'll be able to go down and investigate each one of those spots. So that's the purpose of that. Does anybody have any input on the snow and the accessible spots or accessible spots at the school? I think we're good to keep going, Ian.
Yeah.
Um, I can add this something on that because I think I don't believe it was part of the complaint about the location and the markings. We can definitely review them, but they would have been pre-existing when the property was constructed, and we can definitely have a conversation about that. And that would have been assumed to be approved at the time of the school being built and met all the requirements at that time. But obviously, we can have a conversation to maybe part of the strategic plan to get that improved and get those improvements in place as part of that. And I think, and the other thing too is once the complaint is resolved, or if the complainant wants to withdraw the complaint that we can talk about, then I can definitely come back and talk about all of this. So just to be clear on that, and would be happy to do that. Okay, so we'll move on.
Ian,
Sure.
could I just make a comment? So I'm just curious. I mean, so that a lot of the guys at the DPW, they did a lot of plowing and they worked 32 hours. I mean, unbelievable that town employees, that's a long time to be driving. But I'm just curious because, the whole parking lot, we haven't had this much snow in years and years and years. But does the DPW have like parking lot map, like a map, like, okay, these are the handicap? Because a lot of the drivers, they probably weren't here with the major snowstorms that we had, but is there like a map of marking where these handicap spots are? And if not, could we provide it to help them?
My understanding is that DPW don't do the school plowing, but that's part of what I'll be looking into. I believe it's part of the school themselves. So, but that's as far as I can go on that. And
It's part of the school themselves?
I believe
Yeah.
they have their own plowing equipment.
Oh, like
In
on
order
the facilities, people.
Yeah, in order to get that snow removed, the DPW had to help the school
Yes.
with the loader. because it was so
It
far
had
after.
to have been frozen, yeah, to
But to
Okay.
answer your question, Joanne, so the two spots that were like 4 feet in snow or whatever it was,
Mhm.
the signs have to be 7 feet so that people who are walking can't hit them. So
Mhm.
those particular spots are clearly marked with signage. The one thing I noticed is that at the high school, there's a whole bunch of, and I believe there were 5 people parked in the accessible spots, all with placards and plates. I'm very happy to report. But there's no signage, high signage for those.
Mhm.
So it's only the stuff on the ground. So there, I believe there should be signs there. But Ian, you could speak to that generally, correct?
Current code 521 CMR requires a sign to be placed in front of it, not uh, necessarily. There's markings on the ground, but you'd see a lot of signs on the ground, blue painted in. They are actually not required. It's the sign in front, so when people park, they actually see it in front, is my understanding of why that is the way it is. But that is the current code, and that's something we can definitely discuss as part of our, improvements on that area.
Thank you.
So they can see it because as long as there's a sign there. The
Yes.
ones with signs are the ones that have the snow in front of it.
Um, so there was a question on a variance at 10 Merchants Road. This came in. I spoke to the applicant. They're from Rhode Island. Um, Not sure they're familiar with the full process that they were applying for, what they were trying to do. They seem to be under the impression that they applied to the variance to the Architectural Access Board, and it was a matter of just getting it. I reached out to them. It's a private entity. They can apply for a variance. That's their right, and they're entitled to do that. And explain the situation to them, that there's certain thresholds, cost or the actual possibility of, for example, if it's a lift and it's just impractical or impossible to put it in a place in a building, then the board would look at that it's just impossible to do. So those are kind of the two things that the Architectural Access Board look at. Explained that to them. They described some work that they were doing, and I suggested that probably would not meet those thresholds. Not to speak for the board, that's their decision, but in my opinion, I explained to them too that there was some question mark even if the restrooms are open to the public. The person that was doing it is a contractor for their client. I don't know if they were too familiar, but they're going back to their client to discuss it. I've given them some information. Also told them that they should really be trying to make the restroom accessible, if possible. So I think they got the message that they may have misunderstood what the whole procedure was, and they're going to go back and review it and come back at a later date with whatever they've planned on it. So that's where that stands. And it kind of ties. Go
Can I
ahead.
ask
Yeah.
a question about as ADA coordinator, you just to clarify and make sure that I understand this correctly, as ADA coordinator, you don't really have ADA compliance overlook to a private business, but as building commissioner, they have to follow 521 CMR. And that like when we were on the last time for the variance, the school, if the public comes into the building, it's a public building. So it's not a private residence, which then it does fall not within the ADA coordinator necessarily, but within CMR. Is that correct?
Yeah. So as building commissioner, they have to comply with 521 CMR, and they can apply for the variance through Architectural Access Board. That's one section. As uh, ADA coordinator, it's a private entity.
Right.
ADA coordinator Title 1, Title 2 is for municipalities. Title 3 would not be under my purview. But as a policy, as ADA coordinator, and that's as wearing the hat of the ADA coordinator, I would always contact them and have a conversation with them about what they're proposing to try and give guidance or education, but it wouldn't be under my purview as ADA coordinator. But we do that. We reach out. We've often had private private entities in town that people would have concerns, and we go have a conversation with them. but not just more of an education thing than kind of give them some knowledge that they may not already have. At this situation, there's kind of two hats. Have the conversation as ADA coordinator, provide them with some information and education on what they should be doing, or hopefully they would agree to do. And then also as building commissioner and under the 521 CMR, my opinion was that they probably wouldn't meet the thresholds to get this variance, and walk them through the process of what they should be doing. So,
And just because this relates back to the parking spots, that actually is under building commissioner, correct? Because that's under 521 CMR. Are
and
the
in what regards to parking spots?
so the labeling of parking spots.
Yes. So if it was a pre-existing building, everything goes back to when the building was done and what code was in place at that time.
When it
So
comes to parking spots, when the parking lot is redone, that will trigger it, correct?
there's different triggers. It may not, depending on what thresholds they meet. There's some requirements of its cost requirements, and then certain times it's just the work being done. Certain times it adds into the structure itself, and then at different times it's the whole complex has to be upgraded. So depends on what thresholds they meet. So that will be part
But
of the review if they need a
but
permit. Will be part of the review.
as building commissioner, not ADA coordinator, you can look at the parking spots, which
As
would,
ADA coordinator, we can have a conversation about them and definitely try and have a conversation, see if we can improve them.
thank you.
So part of that was an official procedure for variances. So part of the ADA application form is, and I have it here, is they're required to submit an affidavit, and it says, hereby certified under the pains and penalties of perjury that I served or caused to serve, or caused to be served, a copy of this variance application on the following persons in the following manner. And then there's a list of the name, address of the person or agency served, the method of service, and the date of service. And number one is the building department. Number two is the local Commission of Disability on Disability. And number three is Independent Living Centre. So that's when they apply for their variance with the Architectural Access Board, they're required to sign that under pains and penalties of perjury that they've done that. I think in this situation, the word variance causes a little bit of confusion because a lot of times we deal with variances for zoning board. And when someone comes in here, they may say, I'm applying for a variance, and then they don't state that it's for the Architectural Access Board. In this case, I think they did come in, they did provide it, and that's when I reached out to them. So this one worked well, but there is a little bit of confusion on that, and I'm going to work on improving that. But it's part of it is that private entities can apply for a variance anytime, any way they want to. They do have to notify both the Commission on Disability and the building department, but only when they apply for that variance. So we don't hear about it beforehand. So it's only when they apply to the Architectural Access Board that we're notified. So, and I think in the last couple of cases, the building department were notified about it, and we contacted the Commission on Disability, and vice versa. I think in this case, the Commission had phone calls in around about the same time I was notified. So I think that works pretty well, that once you're notified, you're contacting me, and once I'm notified, I'm contacting you. So, but as regards putting in the procedure, it's very difficult to put in the procedure when someone aren't applying to the building department, they're applying to the Architectural Access Board. Architectural Access Board has their procedures and policies in place that would allow for us to know about this. So they have to notify us. So I think that works well as a procedural aspect. And I think it's very difficult for us to provide an official procedure either through building department or ADA coordinator, because ADA coordinator has no say in private entities as such, and the building commissioner doesn't have to be notified, only when they apply for the variance.
So what I hear you saying is we can't have a procedure because we can't tell a private entity what to do.
In this situation, they can the Architectural Access Board are telling them that they have to notify us. So that's part of the procedure, I guess. Is so.
So can we just like do a scenario here? So you get notified and our accessibility email gets notified. The chairperson gets notified. What's next?
In both cases, I've had two variances. Then I reach out to the applicant or the Architectural Access Board. Well, the first thing I would do is reach out to the Commission on Disability, which I've done on the previous one. I already knew you were aware of this one because you reached out to me as well at the same time. And then I would have a conversation with the applicant and see what they're proposing and what they're doing. Something similar to what I did with this case, to kind of have an educational conversation with them as ADA coordinator, and then have the official building commissioners conversation about what's expected through 521 CMR.
So at the CODA meeting, the Commission on Disability Alliance, we spoke that there was someone else who spoke about how it's really hard, and this has been even when with Brendan in the past, that they apply for it. We have no idea when they're going to be on the agenda, right? We don't know when you're going to talk to them, and we also have to coordinate a meeting, right? Because we have to hear about the variance, hear from them, decide if we support it. And I mean, I can write a letter, like, right, that doesn't necessarily need to be approved. So how do you propose that, or what ways, what ways do you see us um, being able to, in a timely manner, get all the information we need, schedule meetings, and then make sure that we're either telling the access board that we need them to delay it because we're not ready, or being able to approve something and get it there on time. I think that is and how do we know what we need to say? So those are the questions that have come up here. Whether you make a procedure or not, I don't know what we can call it, but maybe a chain of communication. Would you be willing to outline a flexible chain of communication to make sure that we are not missing the dates and the times and the things?
Um, kind of try to follow along, but the notification would have to would have to be presented to us before or at the same time the application goes to the Architectural Access Board. So we would know
Correct.
about it before, possibly even before it's scheduled. So at that stage, we would, in this case, I reached out to the applicant and they appeared to be, you know, having questions about whether they should be doing this or not. And we can definitely keep in contact with the Architectural Access Board and find when it's going to be on the agenda. But I think if we get a notice of this, there's no building permit being submitted as of yet, so I have no documentation on what they're proposing, and that's the problem with a procedure. We would probably need to know what they're proposing to do. For example, if it's a lift, are they going to remove it or are they going to place it in? But we don't have the plans, and we don't have any idea of that. So we could reach out to the actual access board, see what they have, and that would be probably a good step. And that would be both the commission and as building department, we could definitely do that.
Lisa?
Yeah. So Ian, I'm just questioning, like, if they did have the building plan submitted and they were going to move forward and maybe about a lift or something, what would be the next steps? Because we need to hear from them personally, right? And then as a commission decide if we're in support of it or not, and then write a letter to the Architectural Access Board. Those are all things that should happen?
Yeah, I think the first stop would be to the Architectural Access Board and look for the file that was submitted. I think that would be
Okay.
fine. Because
But I guess then,
sorry, go ahead.
sorry, I was just going to say, like, in the past, we haven't done that many of them, but getting that all organized before then they meet about it is just tricky timeline wise. So I guess just having an outline of like, if you talk to them or you get the building permit, then like, do we wait to hear from you and then getting it all scheduled? I guess that's maybe what Meg's asking about is like, how do we have like just an expectation of like how the flow would go in a normal circumstance. Like this one didn't because they weren't actually ready to do that. So it veered off and that's fine. But going forward, if it was going to be moving forward, like how do we like do we reach out to them to schedule them to come in, or is that something you help facilitate, or is it
That
you know what I'm
used to
saying?
be something Brendan would do. And
We
they
could,
don't necessarily need to come, if he felt like he could explain it to us. But they could certainly be invited. And I think they should come to speak. But Brendan used to coordinate that ADA stuff for us. Could you do that?
I think uh, probably the commission could definitely, reach out to the Architectural Access Board and find the dates and that section of it and find exactly when it's going and get the file so that the Commission of Disability can look at it. I can definitely facilitate doing some of that too, but um, the I think the biggest thing is that we can have a conversation about the notifications that we're both contacting each other once we get those notifications, and then we can move forward and get a file from the Architectural Access Board. I think that's the first two steps, and then if we feel it necessary to, we can discuss it, and then if we feel necessary to have the contractor or whoever the owner in, that's a decision that the Commission on Disability can make. And
Is
definitely,
there, sorry, is there an
no,
expectation of the timeline? Like what time does that normally take, or is it vary each individual one?
for the variance hearing,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Architectural Access Board deal with all of that, and it's on their schedule. I know they meet Mondays. I think it's I think it's like the first Monday of every month, but I'm not quite sure. I'd have to look it up.
So it's a
I
once a month meeting.
believe it's once a month. It might be once every
Okay.
2 weeks, but we could
I
definitely
think I think it's every 2 weeks.
every two
Yeah.
weeks. Yeah. So, and then we can definitely check that and make that procedural part of it that we're getting all the information we need on that end.
Okay.
So I hear that Ian is laying out is answering our questions and laying out a strategy. I'm not sure what the hesitation is to write that down, but I'm willing to work with that. So, um,
I think I think I may have the the wording of official procedure for variances suggested a procedure in order to apply for a variance,
no,
and
we
that's
just want to know what the COD has to do and how we're gonna talk. What I guess from what I'm hearing here, what I would love is I get the message and you get the message, right? So I don't check the email for accessibility every day. I don't have
yep.
the chance to do that, right? So whoever gets it first reaches out to the other person, right? So I'd reach out to you or you reach out
Yeah.
to us.
I think the misunderstanding is the way I read this official procedure for variance was prior to the variance being
Well,
application
we
being
need
submitted. So
once
now that I
that
know that you're talking about the procedure of the commission and the after the variance has been submitted, then we can definitely work on a procedure for that. I have no problem with that.
Thank you. If you could
Great.
write that up and bring that to the next meeting or to give it to us, but as soon as you have it, so I can send it out, we can all
Yeah, we
look at
can
it.
touch base with each other and talk about that and have a. But as I say, I think the way it was written here, I assumed it was prior and telling uh, private entities how to procedures for them to apply for a variance, and that wouldn't be something I could do because we wouldn't know.
Well, what I heard you say, which is what I was what you're referring to is, once they let us know, you said to them like, "Hey, I don't know, like I don't think either you have to you're applying, you're great, like it's before instruct construction. I'm not really sure you need this, but go back and get clarification." Like that's the prior part that I've talked about in the past. Just you are able to talk to them and say, figure out what the heck is going on so that you can then come to us and be like, this is the lowdown. And then we can just do the procedure we need to do to make sure that we do that on time. And if we're, maybe the Zoom is down. So what do we do when we need an extension, right? Like that type of thing. So
I think
that,
that it's definitely worth having a discussion about those things. As I say, there was a little bit of misunderstanding of what the agenda item was, so maybe we can talk
sounds
about
like
it
we can do
outside
it.
it and get something in place for after the variance is applied for. Then we can have a working procedure to make sure that everybody's on the same page, Commissioner of Disability and myself, and we can reach out to the applicant and talk about it. So
That would
that
be very useful for us. I appreciate that.
sounds good. Um, all right, so that was on the variance. So the item D, update on agenda accessibility policy procedure that will be going to the select board for approval. That is part of the overall, I think I talked about it last time. I've started, so we've done some, I think we talked about it where we've implemented some changes. We've talked to some members, outside consultants. We've talked to them. There were some suggestions. We've implemented some of those changes into how we take in agendas. We implemented it with the Commission on Disability only at the moment because we just want to kind of work through it. As part of this whole procedure, I'm currently reaching out to members of the Commission. I also mentioned at the last meeting, if you are using these websites or agendas trying to access them and you're having difficulty with strictly the Commission on Disability version, because that's the one we've implemented, by all means contact me through email or whatever way and let me know. I'm meeting with Lisa next week to go through. Lisa's kindly agreed to meet me and show me how she navigates the websites and stuff. So that's part of it, and I will be reaching out to every member of the commission to do something similar if they're open to doing that, and hopefully we can have a kind of a testing of this procedure, and then discuss it and any um, suggestions or implementation that needs to be changed or done, we can do that. And then when we've all that done, then we would go to the select board for approval and then introduce it throughout all the boards and commissions. So it's a continuous process, taking some time, but I think if we can get it right on the Commission on Disability agenda postings, then hopefully we can introduce it across the board with all committees and boards. So that's the plan on that.
Ian, this is Kelly. Do you think we'll be able to see the policy and procedures before it goes to the select board? Just from check.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. We can. I think we're going to rely on the commission to provide some info on how they're experiencing the postage of agendas and things like that. So that will be definitely part of it.
Great.
Ian, when I last showed you when we were together in person, the agenda that was produced, the Commission on Disability agenda, when we went through it, did you feel like that could be improved in accessibility?
I believe that was part of the complaint, was it?
Yep. So
I can't speak to it, unfortunately.
So I will say that I will say when I spoke with the ADA coordinator and I showed him how voiceover was, he did understand that it was not in the accessible way that was appropriate. And so I can speak to that.
I would be careful, and I just say that
You had gone over you understood that it needed to go line by line.
It's been investigated and should have an answer very shortly. So a report very shortly. So, and again,
I did not check this month's agenda. I haven't had time, but I'll happily send it to you.
And again, if the complainant wishes to allow me to speak about it at a further meeting, I'll definitely come back and speak about it. So that's no problem there either. So the support for I believe item F is town support and involvement in the accessible parking campaign. Now I know, as I said, it's been a busy week with storms and everything, so did reach out to Chief Keen on this, had a quick conversation, obviously very busy. I think there was a meeting when I was away. Is that correct, Meg? And then
Yep.
I could attend. But I think there's more meetings. I assume more meetings being arranged or
Yes, I think I wasn't here last meeting, so I think we need to figure out who's going to be on that committee. Do
oh,
you know how many people we can have on that committee? Does it have to be maybe, is it Taylor? Is that you? Like Taylor White Taylor, the town clerk that could probably answer this question?
if you want to send me an email, I can probably, find out.
Sure. Yeah, what I'm wondering is what a breakdown, like, because what we talked about a couple of things, like a working group, as long as it is under, I just want to make sure we do it right. So as long as it's under the, it's not a, majority, right? It's under six, so five or under. I don't know if that is acceptable or if it has to be a subcommittee, which I believe, but I don't know for sure, is limited to three. Does anybody know that?
Not
Anyone
to
from the town?
not to speak definitively, but I believe if you're over two, it's subject to open meeting laws and all so the regular. But again, if you want to send me an email, I can definitely look into
Yeah,
it.
that's what I want to understand what the working group would look like. I mean, if it's over two people, I have zero problem um with doing it openly or whatever it is. Like I'm literally using the school committee like subcommittee type thing, right? They don't necessarily make those on Zoom and whatnot, but
Yeah, definitely. As I said, send me an email and we can look into that and get some answers if you want on that. So just on the accessible parking campaign, Chief Keen, he did have concerns about safety. I know it's a kind of and I think he may have expressed that. So that was the only thing that de-escalation of people be aware of that and if they're going to talk to someone and
yep,
someone.
so we did talk about that. So
Yeah.
one of the Chief Keen did express that concern. Um, Representative Exaros implemented this in Yarmouth. And so during that conversation, when that came up, I looked at Rep X and said, has any of that ever happened ever? And he said no. And what he said is that the people are trained, right? They got training for that. And what we talked about is that the Citizens Police, which is now under JJ because of contractual things or something, or the CERT people. And he goes, well, the CERT people are like directing traffic and parking. I said, perfect. They can get that training. The training is available. And Jonathan Gale, who has implemented this, has reached out and been more than willing to. He actually has the tickets, or they're not actual tickets. But the purpose is like I was at the school the other day and there was a girl walking like far across the um the parking lot on crutches. And I said, hey, like I said to the mom, do you know you can get a placard? So it's really just people who are generally parking in those spots that don't have placards usually are parking there because they need that. I do have a parent that wants to come and share her experience. She has kids that are flight risks. They run. And so she has a parking placard. And so there's a lot of different reasons why people can get those. And it's really important that we are letting people know that need them how to get them so that they can have access when they need it. So,
And
but we just
yeah,
want to make sure that I guess the question for that one is, are you in support of that? Is the town in support of that? I'm sure they are, but I just want to.
I believe Chief Keen and JJ, Chief Burke are involved in it. So that would be the town. And you've invited me to the meeting, so that would be the town too. So we'd be part of the meetings and hopefully get to work through it and try and figure out a plan for it. So,
So
um,
I believe the town, we can talk about this later, but I believe that the town clerk is the person that, if there's a dispute with the ticket, so we may want to involve them as well to
we
make sure
can
they're on the same
definitely
page.
have that conversation. So the item G was update on plowing of the past storms. Obviously, it's been difficult to reach DPW and uh, the fire chief, JJ. So I I did speak to JJ quickly on some items, and I think maybe there's another storm coming. So maybe at the end of this period, we can come back and give an update on what went on there, and provide an update on the storms. I think there's been. I will say that the storm this weekend that just passed, but the big one was extremely. I think it's the most snow that's fallen in the last 8 years, I think. So it was some very demanding on DPW, the facilities people that are involved in the town buildings. I've seen them, witness them myself out for a tremendous amount of hours trying to get this done. And even yesterday, there was a little bit of a thaw. Some of the snow melted. There was some ice on some pathways, and I seen the DPW out this morning at 7:15 breaking. So we can always improve, I guess, but at the moment, I think they've done max to their ability of what they can do, and at certain instances, they've jumped in and helped out when machinery broke and things like this, and they've really stepped up.
Yeah.
We can have a review of that when the storm is over, but there's always going to be certain incidents and we can always improve. But as I say, you got people working 30 plus hours in the space of, maybe 48 hours. They've really stepped up and tried to do the best they could, and have
Yeah.
done a great job. So
I
that's
agree with I agree with that. My husband used to plow. I wouldn't see him for days. It's got the snow widow, we would say, right?
it's a very difficult job, and I've seen
So
in
one of the things that the commission can do to help is that I would like to understand, and I can reach out to JJ and Paul about this. Like I know that it's been really, I've listened to select board meetings. Please feel free to chime in, Charlie or Shane, if you want. That to pay the amount that we can pay plow people to do, that is low. It's hard. It's hard on your truck. It's hard on your own plow, when you're using your own equipment. I know that other towns pay more. And so if there is, I also, in the Commission on Disability Alliance meeting, the sidewalks are actually, not that this is totally logistical or like a bill or able to be done like as easy as it sounds, but the people that sidewalk is in front of their yard, they're actually supposed to clean that. And what other towns do is they have ordinances that require that. So it actually takes some stress off of the DPW. And also like if we can make a motion, or like our job is to um make suggestions, right, to advise, that maybe, we can, if they need more money, we're happy to support to do that in order for this to get done, or to support an ordinance. The ordinance is actually not, like the police don't do it. It's actually, I believe it might be a different office than you, but in the other towns, it's an inspector's office. And so, but we can see what other towns are doing. I got Revere just updated theirs. It's kind of up to date. I'm happy to send that out. But I also want to like remind everyone that we're here to, like, if the town doesn't have what they need to meet the compliance, that we can vote to support them in getting what they need and make those type of recommendations or advisement. So I'm happy to help support the DPW and getting what they need, whatever that might be.
And Ian, it's Kelly. I mean, I know, and I'm not trying to complain, but the sidewalks are just with that little pathway. It's not safe for someone with disabilities to be walking on. It's I was going to do mobility training with my mobility trainer, and we didn't feel it was safe. So I just want to put that out there. But I totally understand the town is stretched. So just
But if
something. about.
If we can help them hire people, ask for more funding for them, whatever we can do, that's part of, we're here to support the town, in advisement to be able to address the issues. I think I would actually be really, like, Kelly, do you want to explain, like, not just the ice, but how your cane works?
Yeah, like so I use a white cane for mobility. I bring it back and forth, and it's just the sidewalks, at least on 130, do not have enough space to do that. And I don't know how a wheelchair would get down them either. It's just like they just did a little pathway. So I'm not even sure if all the rumble strips at the crosswalks are plowed. So it's just for the blind people, it's tough. We can't really get out. But I mean, I do understand that this was a historic storm and everything, but something maybe in the future we could try to do better.
Yeah, and have that reserve money. I mean, that was something that Jonathan said, is that there should be reserve money for things like that. I don't want it to get stuck in some pile that can't be used, like after the season's over. But to have money on the side to be able to do things like that when needed, um,
I know,
particularly related to disability.
and just follow on that. I do know it was an exceptional storm, and they had some unique challenges in this one. I think at one stage there was a lack of salt, and just to be able to pile the snow in a certain way to get rid of it. But I think maybe, as I said at the end of it, maybe we can have an update like we had prior to this with Chief Burke and with Paul Clifton, the
That would
DPW.
be great.
So,
Yeah.
uh, and then the update on the emergency messaging, did speak to Chief Burke briefly about this, JJ. This was trial on with all the department heads in the town. Seemed to work pretty well. I'll let him talk a bit more detail about it. It's his purview, but just a quick update. It worked pretty well, and it will be expanded as we go forward, as the tests go through and it continues to work. I think it's so far so good. I'd say on that, but I'm sure JJ will be available at a further meeting and talk with more detail about that.
For sure.
So, and just couple of little items that I want to follow on. So as I said, I sent out um, all my contact details to all members of the board, the commission. If anyone didn't get it, I know there's some changes with emails and members and things like that. Please let me know through Meg or yourself or whatever way works. And the building department is on call 24/7 for emergencies in regards to fires or storms or things like that. Obviously reach out to the fire department, police department, all that if necessary. But if there's a situation that you're uncomfortable reaching out to those parties, you can definitely contact me directly and maybe if there's a complaint or an issue or definitely please reach out to me in any situation at any time. Just with all these scam phone calls and everything, maybe if you can send me a text or something that I know it's your phone or your phone number and I can add it to my contact so I know. And that goes for anybody in the community that is in a situation like that they really need to reach somebody. By all means, reach out to me.
Yep, and we're not going to give out Ian's personal phone number and try not to use that unless you absolutely have to. Don't give it out to anybody and only use it if absolutely needed.
If
Thank
you
you.
can use the personal one, is probably best outside of hours. But yeah, please don't share it with everybody and anybody. I appreciate that. So,
Yep.
so that's it for me tonight. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ian.
No
Stephanie,
problem. Thank you all.
what's the next agenda item?
Okay, so next we have the topic of school bullying.
Okay, Meg,
Okay.
we'll let you take that.
Okay, I want to be very clear that when we talk about this today, we were talking this and related with people with disabilities and not talking about any specific incidences or allegations unless it's like your own experience. As you know, either being bullied, seeing whatever it is, but I would really, we are not to talk about any specific instances. Can I just make sure that everybody is clear on that? Give me some kind of,
Yes, yes.
Yes.
okay. I think that is, Lisa, you got it? She might be away from her phone for a second. All right. So I have talked to the town about this and I'm going to just, I have an idea of, and I want to just try to put this in so that we can talk about this without going outside of guidelines. So as the commission, and I just wrote it so I could be careful. As the Commission on Disability, our role is to advise the department, advise departments of the town, including the school department, on matters affecting people with disabilities and on compliance with state and federal disability laws. If you didn't know this, Massachusetts law was updated and it's clear in Chapter 76, Section 5 of Massachusetts General Laws states that no person shall be excluded from or discriminated against in admission to a public school or in obtaining the advantages, privileges, and courses of study of such school on account of many words, but they have recently included other words, including disability. Access to education includes not just enrollment, but meaningful participation in full educational experience. In that context, bullying is not just a behavioral issue, it's also an access and equity issue. Students with disabilities are disproportionately affected by bullying, and bullying can interfere with a student's ability to access education on an equitable basis. I want to talk about bullying in two ways. First, bullying is not accepted, tolerated, or accommodated. Harmful behavior has consequences. Second, bullying is often an indicator of unmet social emotional learning needs. The Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education's bullying prevention guidance emphasizes the use of age-appropriate, evidence-based programs, curricula, and practices as a part of bullying prevention and intervention. This makes clear that effective bullying prevention is instructional and intentional, not informational and student-led or reactive. DESE's recommendations say social emotional learning should be part of the curriculum, just like math or reading. When a student struggles academically, the schools don't blame parents. They provide instruction and support. The same logic applies to social emotional skills such as emotional regulation, empathy, conflict resolution, and responsible decision making. Punishment does not teach skills, instruction does. DESE also makes clear through its multi-tiered system of support framework that these skills must be supported across all tiers, beginning with strong universal instruction for all students and extending more targeted or intensive supports when needed. When social emotional learning is embedded consistently at every tier, schools are better positioned to prevent issues rather than respond only after harm has occurred. From my experience as a parent in the Sandwich Middle High School, social emotional learning does not appear to be prioritized at the same level as academics. I believe this imbalance contributes to ongoing challenges of school climate and bullying behaviors. This directly relates to the Commission on Disabilities work. Students with disabilities are at higher risk for bullying, and many disabilities intersect with social emotional learning challenges. When bullying limits a student's ability to access the advantages and privileges of public education, it raises concerns under MGL, Massachusetts General Law, the American with Disabilities Act, and DESE's guidance. Frameworks such as Ruler are examples of evidence-based approaches designed to build the social emotional learning competencies known to reduce bullying and improve school climate. For social emotional learning to be effective, it must be consistent and coordinated across schools. The level of consistency requires district level oversight to ensure alignment, implementation, and accountability. As a part of our role to support the district, we believe the district can take, I believe the district can take action by supporting students and demonstrating a commitment to continuous improvement and compliance. I would suggest that the Commission on Disability move to formally advise the school committee and school department to prioritize social emotional learning as a core educational competency, not coming from us, but directly relating to exactly what DESE says. And that would help them, which is part of our role, to stay in compliance with the laws against discrimination, the ADA, and the Department of Education and Secondary Education's bullying prevention practice guidance. If there is someone that would like to move the motion and second it, we could go into discussion. Is there someone that would like to move the motion?
Move the motion.
I second it.
Okay, we're in discussion. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Audio not muted.
Meg, can you just clarify the motion as to what are you guys doing, just so I understand?
Yeah, I'll give you like what it means. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, just right.
Yep. So the motion is essentially asking, or not asking, but advising, because that's what we're advisory board, to follow the protocols that are already written by DESE, as well as which will help them with, but it will to follow the protocols with DESE about social emotional learning to reduce bullying for students with disabilities.
What is currently in place now?
Yeah.
So Oak Ridge has this already. It was adopted they actually did adopt these things. Oak Ridge does it. Forestdale, I'm very familiar with it because my son just got out of Oak Ridge. I'm very aware of the differences between that in Oak Ridge and at the Sandwich Middle High School. I'm not going to speak on his personal experience, but that it is something I can tell you that this is already implemented in Oak Ridge and has worked successfully, I guess, in my experience for my son. And it's been a contrast for him as a kid with disabilities up at the Sandwich Middle High School.
Is it already at Forestdale as well?
They are doing it. There's like some differences. Yes is the answer, but not to full capacity. And so there's, we're asking them to just follow what is already being asked.
Meg, I would just as a thing, this is one of the things that we touched upon today. I think that in some of the emails that went back and forth, I would just, this, I believe would partially fall under potentially an open meeting law thing. I would just perhaps,
Which one?
advise
Because I spoke with,
to do the motion and the vote on this would perhaps constitute an open meeting law violation. I would just, because of how it was posted on the agenda, I would perhaps maybe table this and get some,
so
invite
I talked to Bud today, and that is not what he said to me.
is that the email that you got at 4:20 p.m.?
Dad, do you want to read it?
I think that this would be considered, a
So
partially
he
covered
said that
email.
we can't speak about or make a motion about curriculum. We're actually not doing that. What we're doing, and I made this clear, is that we're asking them to follow DESE's guidelines, which is not which is guidelines around bullying. So we're not asking them to do, like, we particularly are not asking them to do something specific. We're asking them to do what has already been asked of them. So we're not making comment on curriculum, which is part
Is
of
that not in their policy already, though?
Yeah.
It's in the student handbook,
Yep.
and it's
So
a process.
right. And so what we're asking is for them to do what's in the handbook, do what's in the policy. That's what we're saying. It's not being done.
So you're
we're
saying it's
asking,
already a policy, it's just not being followed.
correct.
I would,
So Shane, I've already talked about this. He said it was okay. So if
Okay.
people, yep. Which open meeting law? Because that's not what he said. Which open meeting law is that?
I would just prefer to have this conversation offline, Meg, with,
So I've been in contact with Bud and I have revised all of the things that I've said to make sure that we were not doing something wrong. And if we
Okay.
do, then we do. But it's not, it would be an open meeting law violation, if anything. So we're not like asking anything that is already being asked of them. We're asking them to do what is already being asked of them. And I asked Bud. So
But they are doing it in some situations.
they are doing it Oak Ridge for sure. They are following the guidance. And
They are at Forestdale.
I believe, do you know, Joanne, they are
Yeah,
more,
you
they're
know what,
facing
honestly,
together.
to the best of their ability with what they have. So,
It's younger kids, so it's a little
yeah,
bit, the
they,
bullying is not as the bullying, although that's where it started with my
you know what
But
though,
it
but
lays the
Meg, I
groundwork.
disagree. There's bullying on every level, but they
you're
have
right.
different, they're very, very supportive of the kids in Forestdale. The principal's involved. They have a box program before school starts. So it's at that age, it's incredibly supportive. They have an amazing social worker. But it's as you go through the higher grades, that's where literally middle school is really where you see the bullying. And
100%.
unfortunately, there's, quite a few children with special needs, and social emotional is special needs. An emotional and mental health diagnosis is special needs. So whether they're on an IEP or not, that's still a disability under IDA.
And what Desi is saying is that that what their recommendation is that it's at all tiers, which so tier one is general education, basically like every math is a tier one, everybody gets math. And then tier two is if you need certain supports, you get those more not in the general education. Am I saying this right, Joanne? I
Yes.
describe it right. And then tier three is like more of a one-on-one support. And what Desi's recommendation is that it should be in all of those. And so I have my biggest experiences with Oak Ridge, who 100% does this. And as my son has been bullied and been the bully because of certain behavioral issues, the social emotional education that he received in support fixed that. Like to the point that I could cry at this point, but I won't. So um, I personally know the benefits of what is being suggested here by Desi. We're just saying, hey, remember this? I need you to do it.
I guess what I'm wondering is if having a statement in support of, in light of the changes to the Massachusetts law, that we are making a statement in support of the programs that Desi recommends to include or to, we're doing it because it's now including children with disabilities, taking the opportunity to
Correct.
reinforce that this program, but maybe not in a do what you
Well, I'm trying to say it
in a
nicely.
negative way, but
I'm trying to, Shane wanted me to clarify what I was saying. I'm not saying that when the motion that goes to the school committee, right, will be that we just recommend that what Desi is asking.
well,
Just
can
the
you
way that I
say
read
what
it.
the
You wanna say
motion
it again?
or
Sure.
what the statement would be so we can see how it sounds?
Well, I
So-
got a quick question.
Yep.
It's Kelly. So what could we just say, hey, we want advise you to review this policy?
I think that goes outside of what we're supposed to be doing. But I'd be careful on that one. I think that the way that I tried to phrase it as best I can, that so we would advise the school department's committee to prioritize social emotional learning as a core educational competency as stated by DESE to stay in compliance with the Massachusetts General Law, ADA, and DESE's guidance.
But are we bringing this up now because of the change in the law, including disabilities? Or are we bringing it up because of,
We're bringing it up because it's an important topic for people with disabilities. And because I was asked by different members who wanted to speak about that because people with disabilities are disproportionately affected by it. So,
And many of them don't have a voice and they can't explain what happened, the little ones.
yeah. So I don't think this doesn't have to be overly complicated. We're just asking them to follow the guidance to be our purview is to advise to stay in compliance of the law. So because the law is updated, um,
And they are aware of the laws change, correct?
you would hope so.
Yeah, I would think so. Are they in the process of revising anything on their end, do you know?
Yes, so part of the packet is that that bullying guidance is being revised by a committee. I do not know if that's a school committee or but that was a plan. That was a plan part, like the information that I have about all of what I'm talking about has been years in the making. Like a lot, this is something I've been dealing with this years. So, uh,
can our statement be something about us being in support of following these DESE recommendations, inclusive of children with disabilities, since that is our focus?
Yeah, if you word
Yeah,
it
you
that
can.
way, I'm more inclined to support it.
Say it again. Say it, Lisa. We can
Um, that
amend the
we,
motion. So we would be advising, so we would be formally advising
the
the
Commission on
school.
Disability
Yep,
is, I mean, is it the advising word? Like, we are recommending that
we're advising.
the school, that there's continued support of social emotional learning.
I would just say as stated by DESE's,
Yep.
as stated
The
by
policy stated by DESE,
DESE's bully prevention guidance to stay
specifically
in accordance.
around children with disabilities, since the law has, because that's really
Yeah.
our focus, is that
Students
the
with disabilities.
Yep,
Yes.
agreed. So let me look at this and see if I can. So if I'm just reading what I have here. So advise the school committee to and school department to prioritize social emotional learning as a core educational competency as stated by DESE to support students with disabilities from being bullied and stay in compliance with the updated laws against discrimination, the ADA, and align with the Department of Education, Elementary and Secondary Education bullying prevention guidance. Is that
it's hard.
capturing what you said? I know it's lots of words.
It is hard for me to do that, just auditorily listening to that without.
So say it one more
Yeah.
time in your, so what I added to that is that we're making this recommendation. So you want to say, if I clear what you want to say, I can fix it. So what you want to say is that we're asking them to prioritize social emotional learning as a core educational competency as stated by DESE. That's just summarizing what I read. To support students with disabilities by staying in compliance with the Massachusetts General Law Against Discrimination, the ADA, and being in alignment with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education's bullying prevention guidance, DESE, bullying prevention guidance. Does that work?
I guess when we add in like the,
All I'm doing is adding
I
in.
know, but the language of being in compliance, it starts to feel,
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't realize what you're having a problem with. So
Yeah.
we could just say that we formally advise the school committee and school department to prioritize social emotional learning as a core educational company as stated by DESE's bullying and prevention guidance to support students with disabilities against being bullied.
yeah, I mean, that's what we're doing. It's because the law changed and we just want to make an official statement that we are in support of the DESE
Well,
policies.
that's where the word compliance comes in because our job is to make sure they're in compliance. That's why that word is there. So
Does anybody
I
else have any
thought our
comments?
job was to advise.
what?
I thought we were an advisory board, not a compliance board.
Feel like we
Yeah,
can't hold them.
we advise them on compliance. So if they're out of
Yeah.
compliance, we have to advise them what to do to stay in compliance. That's what we're doing.
Could you write this up and maybe we can vote on it next time when we've all had a chance to review the statement in
Sure.
its entirety
Lisa,
rather
sure,
than going on the fly with it?
sure, Lisa, do you want to write it up?
So essentially, we're going to wait a month?
Yeah, I'm not sure that that's great timing,
No,
especially.
it would not be great timing at all.
Okay, then do you want to say what you just said the last time, Meg?
Yep, let me see if I can get my brain out of that. Okay. We
And
would
what is
make
this? Is there specific, like, what is that? Why it would
what
be
is
better to have it?
the motion?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Go ahead and read it.
Okay. So we would move to formally advise the school committee and school department to prioritize social emotional learning as a core educational competency as stated by DESE's bullying and prevention guidance to be, if you want to say about why we're doing this, to be in compliance with the changes in, we can state the law if you want, to protect students with disabilities from bullying. Do you not want to say compliance, even though that is what we are asking them to
No,
do?
I feel like that's okay, but it's much shorter. I feel like that is more
Can
what I was
somebody write
thinking.
that down? I know it will be in actually, can I ask? Wait, hold on. Can I ask it questions? I thought I could maybe ask it questions. I can. What is the current? Thank God for technology and disabilities. Nope, I can't see it.
Stephanie,
But
Yep.
as secretary, do you have it written down?
Okay,
I'm
well,
driving right
it's
now.
Oh.
okay. It did it. I got it to say it. We would
Well,
move
that
to
would not be
formally.
safe.
Because AI takes the notes. It's not espionage, Shane. Um, the quote here is we would move to formally advise the school committee and school department to prioritize social emotional learning as a core educational competency as stated by DESE's bullying and prevention guidance to be in compliance with the changes in, and then it says the law to protect students with disabilities from bullying. Does
Yeah.
someone want to amend the motion to as stated?
I amend the motion as stated.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, we're open for discussion again. Anybody want any changes to that?
I think that's clear. And Janine, yeah, I think it's very important that it's done now instead of waiting a month.
Okay.
Okay.
It's fairly simple. So
Yeah, now that we pared it down, it's simple.
you know me, I have lots of words.
It
I
was
try not to have
it
lots of
was
words, but I
it
have lots of
was
words.
a lot. It was extra, Meg.
I'm always extra. That's my
I know
superpower.
you are.
All right. Seeing no more discussion, I will pull up, since Stephanie's driving, I will pull up the roll call. Let me see. And just a backwards thank you to Joe for putting all this stuff together. All right. So we'll do a roll call vote. Meg Keegan, yes. Kelly Trapasso,
Yes.
Dom Jellison,
Yes.
Joanne Lebers,
Yes.
Lisa Judelson,
Yes.
Julia is not here, Chand is not here, Janine Cullen,
Yes.
Stephanie Latonin, is that right?
Yes. And yes.
And Don is not here, so motion passes. I'll write that up and send it over to the school committee as soon as possible.
All right. Thanks, Meg. Is there anything else on the agenda?
Yes. Where are we for time? Oh, geez. So we can put this off till next time. We can talk about the Commission on Kelly and I went to the Commission on Disability Alliance. We talked about the Protect Education Equity Act. Basically what that is going to do is that over the next year, DESE is going to have to lay out a procedure for dealing with complaints. So you don't have to go federally. If you need a complaint, you don't have to go federal about it. Of course, there's 5 million other things you can do before that, but if you get nowhere, if you send something to DESE, they would send you to DOE, OCR. So you won't have to do that. And but we can talk about that more next time. And then the voting machine thing, that's to be continued up at the Commission on Disability Alliance. We may do a thing where we ask everybody to go use it, and then people can't vote, and then they have to fix it, but to be determined. We need the accessible parking campaign working group. So we need 3. I'll be one of those people. So I guess 3 would be the subcommittee, or unless we want to, well, no, I think we should still do 3 for our subcommittee. Who wants to do that?
I'll do
Dom
it too.
and Kelly?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect, Dom and Kelly. So, let's do a vote to form a subcommittee for the disability parking campaign.
I'll make a motion that we form a subcommittee for the accessible parking campaign.
I'll second the motion.
All right. Any more discussion? Seeing no discussion. Meg Keegan, yes. Kelly Trapasso,
Yes.
Dom Jellison,
Yes.
Joanne Lebhertz,
Yes.
Lisa Judelson,
Yes.
Julia's not here, Chanda's not here, Janine Cullen,
Yes.
Stephanie Latonin,
Yes.
and Don Royer's not here. Motion passes unanimously. Subcommittee formed. We'll find a date with the chief and both chiefs and Ian to do that. I'm very excited about this. We've been trying for this forever. And then Stephanie has volunteered to be officially the secretary. So pumped about this. So could somebody make a motion?
Make a motion that Stephanie be secretary.
I
There a
second.
second?
Yep, Kelly seconds it.
Kelly seconds. Let's go for a roll call. Pull this up. Meg Keegan. Do you have it? You don't have it, Stephanie, right? Because you're driving or close.
Oh, no, I can do it. I have it.
Oh, you do? Okay, I don't want to take it. Go ahead.
Pulled over. Okay, all right, Meg.
Yes.
All right, great. Kelly Trapasso,
Yes.
Dom Jellison,
Yes.
Joanne Leppertz,
Yes.
Lisa Judelson,
Yes.
Janine Cullen,
Yes.
and Stephanie Latonin. Myself is a yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, we're pumped. Kelly, the next agenda item is meeting minutes for January vote needed.
Oh yeah, did everybody get a chance to look at them?
Dom and I worked very hard with ChatGPT to make those amazing notes, just saying. Is there a motion to accept the January minutes? Someone can just say,
Make a motion to accept the January minutes.
I'll second the motion.
and then vote.
All right. So we have Meg Keegan,
Yes.
Kelly Trapasso,
Yes.
Dom Jellison,
Yes.
Joanne Leppertz,
Yes.
Lisa Judelson,
Yes.
Janine Cullen,
Yes.
and Stephanie Latonin. Myself is yes.
Is that it, Meg?
The last thing is the monthly social media post, which Lisa would like to sponsor. I
Oh.
guess she wants to talk about it.
Yes. I wasn't sure if there were other, because I believe we already picked some things for February.
We can have more than one post. We can post as many things as we want.
Okay, just very quickly, I wanted to mention to the people on at the meeting about the Perkins Braille and Audio Braille and Talking Book Library program. It's through the National Library Service, which is a federal program, and the Perkins Library is the administrator for Massachusetts. And basically, it's a program that helps anyone with a print disability to read more easily. Reading is for everyone is their motto. And so you may know about the program helping people with low and no vision. But it also includes people that have print disability is defined by anybody who has difficulty reading a regular book or newspaper because the print is too small or not dark enough, or because it's hard to hold the book or the newspaper, or it's hard to turn the pages. Any reason that that someone is prevented, if they have dyslexia, prevented from reading regular reading material, they qualify for the program. It's completely free, and I'm trying to just really get the word out about it. And so I feel like people in the community that are sensitive to other people's needs might see someone who could maybe benefit from this program. The library sends out a playback machine. It's kind of the size of an old cassette player, but it has cartridges that have a USB drive in them. So they're easy to hold and insert into the machine. The buttons are easy to push and they're brightly colored, and they play audiobooks. But there's also magazines and ways to get newspapers. It's just really designed to get people back to reading. And so I am an outreach coordinator down here on the Cape. And people can get in touch with me if they know of someone who might benefit from the service, or if they also have any places that they would like me to go and speak and do outreach. I am available for that as well.
Awesome. So, do you have like stuff from Perkins that we can give to the town to promote this?
I'm working on like what I have several things, but I don't think any of them are just great. I think I need to create something different, but I will get back to you on that.
Okay, I'm happy to help you. And then would you like me to ask the superintendent to put it out as well? I'm sure he would be happy to put it in his newsletter.
Sure.
Cool. Yeah, once you get that information, I'll send it to him.
Okay.
I'll see him Friday.
All right, is that it?
I believe it is.
All right, thanks everyone. Does anybody have anything else?
I will be on vacation for the next meeting.
The next one is it March
so
4th?
fun.
Yes.
All right, I guess we can close the meeting.
Motion to close.
Second the
Second.
motion.
And
All
we
right,
don't
have a
need-
good night, everyone.
Thank
too.
you.
Thanks, Shane.